just a friendly reminder to turn your mobile phones off or onto silent, and you can actually turn your computers to silent with the middle button where it's got a 0 and a line through it. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the ordinary meeting of the Mount Isa City Council. Sorry, I'm just getting make sure I'm on the right page. The time is 9:01, and I now declare the meeting open. Mount Isa City Council acknowledges the Kalkadoons and the Intalingi people, traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today, and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. And we extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today. Please note, the ordinary meeting of the Mount Isa City Council may be live streamed and recorded in accordance with recording of council meetings policy. As a visitor in the public gallery, your presence may be recorded. By remaining in chambers, it is assumed your consent is given if your image is inadvertently broadcast. It might be easy to get paper. Can I now have someone move the motion that, in accordance with section 277C of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the following participants will be taking part in the meeting via teleconference and will be noted as in attendance. Councillor Peter McRae, Councillor Mick Tully. Would someone like to move that motion?
Moved, Barwick.
And can I get a second for that motion?
Seconded, Fortune.
All those in favour? And that's carried. I'd now like to ask Natalie Steele from the Salvation Army to grace us with a prayer.
Thank you very much, and good morning everyone. Madam Mayor, councillors and guests, thanks for having me here today and to have this opportunity to share a couple of moments with you before you begin today. My husband and I were in Burketown over the weekend for the Mayor Uni Camp's daughter's wedding. It was a lovely weekend. As we travelled along, it was getting late and the sun was setting. Before us, the most amazing sunset was unfolding. Brilliant oranges and deep reds filled the sky. Deep reds filled the sky with a sparkling Big Dipper and Milky Way hanging in the darkening heavens. It also seemed that all the cattle and kangaroos were out on the road to watch the sunset. We felt pressed for time, but it was such an awesome sight. We decided it was well worth the time to pull over, to pause and to pay attention. Life gets so busy and we can feel that we are constantly in a rush, having to multitask and with no time to stop. So today, before you begin, I invite you to pause for a couple of minutes. Put away your mobiles, your to-do lists, push aside that giant stack of papers and be still. I'd like to read you a few verses of scripture which talk about time. They may be familiar to you, and then I'd like to close with a blessing as you gather for this meeting today. It's from Ecclesiastes chapter 3. It says, "For everything there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to cry and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to turn away, a time to search, and a time to quit searching, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear, a time to mend, a time to be quiet and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. Yet God has made everything beautiful for its own time. As you gather today, may you recognise the seasons and priorities in your own life and in the life of this city. May you have time to listen to one another's hearts, not only words. May you have a sense of time invested and not wasted. May you make wise decisions in sometimes difficult circumstances and limited resources. May your time together be blessed with God's wisdom for the flourishing of the Mount Isa community. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Natalie. Really appreciate the prayer and some very wise words there. Thank you. Okay, so that takes us to item number 3, which is apologies and leave of absence. I just note that we have a councillor who will be late, so can we record when the councillor comes in, if that's appropriate? She's not here at the moment, but she will be coming at some point.
Through Madam Mayor, Councillor McRae is now an apology.
Okay, so we got Councillor McRae's apology and Councillor Coghlan is a late. Oh, we do. Okay, that's great. Thank you, Mr. Keenan. Could I have someone move that we accept Councillor McRae's apology for the council meeting today?
Moved, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Can I get a seconder for that motion? Thank you. All those in favour? And that's carried.
Favour.
Thank you, Councillor Tully. Okay, so that takes us next to public participation. And I'll suspend these proceedings so we can hear from the people in the gallery today. And I'm not sure if we have a preference in what order, but I'll say Godfrey Kreutz, you had a question. If you want to, we'll just give you a microphone because if anyone's tuning in, they can't hear unless you speak into the microphone.
Thank you. Good morning, Worship, Mayor and executives, councillors. A year ago, I put in a request to modify the raised cat's eyes at the roundabout at Mary, and I got a letter from the council saying, yes, you're right, we will do it very soon in conjunction with other works there. Now, we're a year after my request and nothing has been done. Why?
Godfrey, who actually signed that letter?
Leave me, I have to dig it up.
Oh, sorry. I'm just hoping it's not me. Renee Wallace. Okay. Renee, do you want to speak to this one?
Through you, Madam Mayor, thank you for that. Hi, Godfrey, how are you? So yes, we haven't got to that item. The feedback from the team has been that they're actually looking at the whole roundabout itself. So when the roundabout was created, there were sections of the roundabout that wasn't actually installed or constructed properly. It has been on our capital works list, so it is still there. So it says Pamela Mary Street roundabout, so it is still highlighted. That work is supposed to be done at the same time. So we have a line marking machine down, so we've been trying to get this line marking machine fixed over the last 6 months, so it's been up and down. We have since then ordered a new one. As you can appreciate, the current state, we cannot get equipment. It takes sometimes 6 months to get equipment with the current environment. In relation to the cat's eyes, I'm going to note we haven't done that. We should have done that, we haven't done it. I have asked the team to get on that, but they have indicated they
it's not just a sign of beauty, it's against the law. If you had a traffic light where the green would be yellow and the yellow would be red, you would do it immediately. This one has just not been done, and it would need 2 men with a chisel and knock the old ones off and put new ones the right way around. It's not that the raised pavement markers are wrong, it's just they're installed wrong.
That's correct.
Yeah.
It has been installed
So,
wrong, they've been installed back.
yeah, I find it hard to believe that the council couldn't muster some people to do it within a year.
Again, I apologise,
Okay.
we have not got to it.
Okay, but
But
please,
it has been acknowledged that it still needs to be done,
Yeah.
it is still on the list to be done.
okay.
Godfrey, what I'll do is I'll ask the CEO to see if we can make that a priority.
Yeah,
to-
because
to
it doesn't
change
comply with the law. It's not just something beauty or anything like that.
Definitely, and I really appreciate you taking the time to write the letter a year ago and highlight that, because, you know, sometimes we haven't seen something as a council, so it's great residents take the time to write to us and then say, hey, did you realise you hadn't done this right?
Yeah.
And give us an opportunity to fix it. So my apologies also that it hasn't been addressed, and I will ask the CEO to make this a matter of priority now to look at, to fix this.
Thank you. My second item is I requested 2 items, and I have a service request or 2 service requests with the council. One of them is at North Street East. There's a fence running along the road and the deep gully. For 20 meters, that fence is flat. It does not protect anything or anyone. It needs to be fixed because it's on a road, it's on a pathway where children go to school, follow that. Walkers like myself go along there. Please fix it. I've had various requests in to have the fence renewed, but that was only because the fence was old and you were doing North Street West, and that fence there is in quite good order. So please, this is dangerous, please fix it. That's one. The other one is not half as urgent, and that's that tourist sign at Raver Avenue near the roundabout going to the copper smelter. It's a half-circle tourist sign, which is in atrocious state. It's overpainted, its trees grow over it. It's not a good sign for our city that we are showing off our city with signs like that and directing things. Thanks for listening.
Thanks,
That's all
Godfrey,
for
and
today.
I will I'll give those 2 to David, to our CEO, to look at, and I'll get him to send you a letter of what we're doing and when it will be
It's
fixed.
fine. Have those requests
3 minutes.
made it to your desks? Have you seen them?
The director was going to...
Oh,
Okay.
okay, thanks, Renee.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Godfrey. So the tourist sign will be removed. The fence, I've been noted here that the fence is programmed to be renewed within the next fortnight, depending on the availability of the contractor who won the quote. Basically waiting for materials. I know I've said this a few times, but there's a lot of things in council, but it has been signed. The contract has been signed for the work to be done.
That's fine, because invariably there is a lead time, and no, I'm not complaining about those things, but somebody should have brought this to council before. I had some medical problems for a year or 2, so I wasn't running around and looking at things and doing things, but that's resolved. Now, things that are dangerous, I think I should bring forward so the council can do something about it. Thank you.
I couldn't agree more, Godfrey, and it's great to see you back here, and you are welcome to every council meeting, and if you turn up with problems, we'll welcome that, because that's how we fix the situation. So by all means, if you find things and you want to come to a council meeting and highlight them, we'll welcome you. So please do that. Okay, so that takes us to Peter Bolger. Good morning, Peter.
Thank you very much for the council for allowing me to address you today. I'm a plumbing contractor, so do watch water involved with water. I'm driving along Abel Smith Drive, just at the end of Short Street. I think the council decided to create a rainforest for tourists because the trees are 3 metres high and blocking up the enormous canal which runs along down the centre of Abel Smith Drive. So I'd like to have a look at the council to have a look at that and clean that because it's a waterway and it should be unrestricted. And also a water easement between Kokoda Road and Fitzchafin Street. I supplied the council with photos of at least 2 cases. It's completely overgrown, so water is restricted to flow, which causes it to bank up if it's not cleared. So I'd like to see whoever's responsible will look at those. I'm just wondering what department does that come under? Gardens or some other?
Through Madam Mayor, the Director.
Pardon?
Through Madam Mayor, the Director is going to give you a response.
Hi Peter, how are you? So I've been notified by the team that they have actually sprayed along Abel Smith Parade. So what they're wanting to do is actually wilt that down before they go in and do the removals. So that has been undertaken. So that was 2 weeks ago. So they're actively addressing that item within Abel Smith Parade. In relation to Kokoda Street easement, that's actually a state-owned easement. So we have actually notified the state for the work to be undertaken at that easement.
Oh, thank you very much. Today, I checked 23rd Avenue. Someone got swept under the road there when the river was flowing a few years ago, I think. So wonderful bureaucrats came up with the idea of putting steel grills across the pipes to stop anyone being swept under the road, but it stops water from going under the road. And I've brought this up with council before, and it's completely covered with debris, and those grills should not be there. If someone's stupid enough to be in a fast-flowing river and get washed under the road, they'll get washed under the pipes and they'll come up the other side. At present, if someone falls in the river, they'll get knocked unconscious with these steel grills and will drown anyway. So I like that investigated. And I don't think the grill should remain. It's a very dangerous situation. If someone visits that site the next 2 days, they'll see that water has been prohibited from running under the roads because it's completely blocked with debris. And it's like that and no one ever clears it. And they were forecasting with the El Nino we were going to have 7 cyclones this year. And, well, the coast. And the coast hasn't had 1 cyclone, so we haven't had a rain depression coming in from a cyclone, so we haven't had any great river flows this year. But those grates are completely covered with rubbish and debris, so the water can't run under the road, which would cause more major problems. So I wonder if the council... Does that come under council or is that state government?
No, that does. Thank you, Peter. So yes, that does come under council. I was just going to check with the team as to what their program is for cleaning in that area. So they obviously, I'm not sure if you noticed that after the season, they normally do go in there with a bobcat and they do clear out.
Yeah, but not 6 months after it's rained. It should be done 2 days later and it shouldn't happen in the first place.
It's more of a safety.
Debris.
Yeah. Peter,
They get blocked up.
what we might do is we might take that on notice and we'll have a look at the schedule and see if it is enough, because and maybe the CEO can bring it back to the councillors about how often they do clear that away and look at the safety aspect as well.
I think it's a legal situation. The grill should be removed, but if you could look at that, please.
We'll definitely have a look at that one.
Thank you very much for allowing me to address
Thanks,
it.
Peter, and good to see you back in council. Now, we had 2 registered people to speak, but I now invite anyone else in the gallery who would like to speak to give them the opportunity.
Thank you for having me talk to you people. It's a long time since I've been in front of a microphone. Steve Neal,
Hi, Stephen.
Neale, not I. My concern is the water leaks that we have in the town, repairs, instead of replacing lines, we're just repairing. In my street alone, in the last 30 odd years, we have 5 distinct leaks that occur one after the other. And the other day I went over and had a look at one leak, and the bloke said, this is the 5th time it's been patched. Now, I believe one patch might be all right, but we should be replacing the pipes. The pipes have been there since day one. We've had our main line done, but we haven't had the cross sections, the little pieces that go across the road from the main pipe. I would like to see some more major expenses in the water system fixed up. If you drive around, we've had incidences where one person in the street, 5 years it took them to come and fix a leak up. They kept telling them that it wasn't theirs. It was their problem. It was outside the fence, out on the council side of the meter. It has now started leaking again. I reported it last weekend. There's still no one has been up the street. And so I would like whoever is in charge of the water system to sort of start jumping a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. And did you want to take this one on notice, or do you want to reply to this at the moment?
Hi, Steve. This one again.
Could I add,
Thank you. I'd just like to ask the council, it's not council's fault, but I just want, the water board spent a lot of money putting new pumps in, and the council, it costs the council a fortune to replace pipes, and they say, oh, the pipes are old. But I feel the water board has put these new pumps in, and they're putting higher pressure down the water mains. Could the council investigate that, whether they're putting higher pressure on the old water mains, which normally the water mains are good, but they're subject to higher pressure, I feel. And I'm just wondering if you could query the water board whether the mains are getting subject to extreme pressure compared to what they were 6 years ago, 5 years ago. And they blame the pipes, oh, the pipes are old, but I feel it's too much pressure they're putting on with a new pipe system.
Well, thanks, Peter, and thanks, Stephen.
I ask the council to investigate that.
So one of the things we've been talking about for quite a while now is we have very ageing infrastructure. There's no doubt about it. And one of the priorities we set at the beginning is to make that a priority. So if you look at the budget that we're about to do some community engagement with in May, and I implore you to come and do the community engagement with the budget. Have a look at what we've decided to do and how we're spending the money, especially when it comes to the infrastructure, the ageing infrastructure that needs to be addressed, because we feel we have addressed it in the budget and we have a long-term plan, but we also want feedback from residents as well. And we want you, and this is important. But I will hand you over to our director, Renee Wallace, but I just want to highlight that, yes, we've been losing 36% of the water that we bulk buy from the water board down the drain. So it is a priority for us to plug these leaks up, because we've got the opportunity here to save millions of dollars. And it has been a priority in this respect that we have found at least 5 to 6% of that water we're losing. But it's obviously, we want to find more. And every council apparently accepts about 12% water through leakage. So we're double that. So we know that, and then we are trying to address that. And it's really important that we find these leaks and we fix them. So, but also the ageing infrastructure. We're 100 next year, but we want to be here. We'll be here for another 100 years. So we do need to replace But Pe- Can I hand you over to the Director, Renee Wallace, and just get her to give you that, answer your question? And then I'll just get the Director, Renee Wallace, to answer that question.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you. So to answer a couple of the first questions, so in our capital works program for this year, we have service line replacements. So that is the lines that you're talking about that cross the road. So this year we had $110,000 and that budget has been spent. The water main replacements have been done as well. So we've got $500,000 that we've undertaken with water main replacements. When it comes to reactive work, you're saying that there has been water leaks. That is something I'll have to take on notice, and I'll probably need to find out the ID of the actual application that you're talking about, so I can get back to you on that specific item. When we're looking at our complete network, and we've indicated that there potentially is leaks, or you're indicating there, Peter, of pressure coming from Mount Isa Water Board, that is a system we should be able to deal with the different pumps, etc. What our manager of water and sewer has undertaken is he's actually looked at the full network and the way the water is actually coming into the system, and he's looking at changing the way the water comes into the system so the pressure isn't actually on the specific smaller lines that'll actually go through a main line and up to the tanks, and then gravity feed through. So that's something actively happening at the moment. The design has been undertaken, and the councillors have looked at the draft budget for next year, which we've actually included in there. So again, if I can reiterate what the Mayor has indicated, for the draft budget has come out, we're happy to speak to any of the items for next year that's being proposed, and we really encourage your participation with the capital budget. But I'll catch up with you afterwards to find out, if that's okay.
Thank you. Well, I think that concludes our public participation. Thank you everyone for having the courage to get up and speak. It's sometimes daunting to be in a formal meeting and get up and have your say, but I really appreciate it. I think it's important we hear from the community, and we're voted in by you, so we're very aware that we're your voice. So thank you again for coming along today. Okay, so that takes us now to our next one, which is item 5 and item 5.1. And it is the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 16th of March 2022. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation, please?
I'll move it, Mayor. I'm just trying to find it.
That's all right. I know mine's been a bit weird this morning.
Okay. Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'll move that the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 16th of March 2022 be received and the recommendations therein be adopted.
Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Second, Stratton.
Thank you. Any comments on this one?
No.
All those in favour? And that's carried. That brings us to item 5.2, the minutes of the special meeting held on the 30th of March 2022. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
Through the Chair, I'll move that the minutes of the special meeting held on the 30th March 2022 be received and the recommendations therein be adopted.
Can I get a seconder for that that motion?
Stratton.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. Any comments on that one?
No.
I've just got a comment on that one, and I'll just find it. I just think it's, I'd just like to know who added the note. It is noted that Mayor Councillor Danielle Slade closed the meeting without dealing with an item 8.1, endorsement of the Chief Executive Officer to North West Hospital and Health Board. It was noted that majority of councillors wish to speak to this report. Who put that on the minutes? Was that the CEO?
Through Madam Mayor, quite possibly, but that's why the minutes are recorded.
So you added that item, that paragraph?
That's the scenario that ended up.
Okay, well, I'd just like to talk to that then. Excuse me, in the... I'd just like to, and Renee, are you able to take him outside? Thank you. I'd just like to address the reason why I moved the supplementary agenda, supplementary item off the minutes that day. There was quite a few reasons for that. I'd actually approached the CEO on Monday and said, I realise you've been appointed to the hospital board, but as part of your contract you need written permission, and I've organised a meeting with councillors after the special meeting on Wednesday. So on Tuesday, when the supplementary agenda turned up at 10 a.m, I was surprised that I hadn't been notified, considering this was probably a conflict of interest on this report. The other item, that it was in breach of the Act. With a special meeting, it has to be 48 hours, public notice, and nothing else can be added to that agenda. So that was in breach. It did not meet the requirements under the Act to being confidential. And the report itself had had incorrect information. It said it is also likely that the endorsement is not required, as the Chief Executive Officer can endorse a request. That is actually not correct. It did need written permission from council. There was also a commentary on one of the councillors' views, which I thought was inappropriate. So with all those things in play, and it was in breach of being included in the special meeting, I decided to close the meeting without including the supplementary agenda, and that's when I got information and advice from the Director General of Local Government about that particular thing I did. So to have that in the minutes is pretty unfair, because the special supplementary agenda item did not meet the requirements under the Act to be in that meeting that day. So that's very important to note that. I was disappointed I didn't get to have that meeting with the councillors, because this was a 6-day-a-month commitment, and I didn't understand how the supplementary agenda came up, how it came about, because usually as the mayor, I'm asked about what goes into the agenda items. So again, it was a surprise, and so that was why I removed it at the time. I didn't go into detail because I wanted to get advice from the state government on if I was correct with my assertions. And of course, at the time, I certainly didn't want to embarrass anyone. So I removed it and moved on. So the comments, that paragraph on those minutes, to me, are very unfair. That said, all those in favour? And that's carried. That takes us now to the minutes of the special meeting held on the 13th of April 22. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
Through the Chair, I'll move the officer's recommendation that the minutes of the special meeting held on 13 April 2022 be received and the recommendations therein be adopted.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Second, Barwick.
Thank you. Any comments on this one? All right, all those in favour? Councillor Tully, would you be able to just say yay or nay, just so I know that you're voting?
Yay.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you. All right. Now that takes us to item 6, which is 6.1, outstanding actions from previous council meeting as of the 27th of April 2022. The officer's recommendation is that council receives and notes outstanding actions from previous council meetings at the 27th of April 2022. Would someone like to move that motion?
Yeah, I'll move, Madam Mayor, that council receives and notes outstanding actions from the previous council meetings as at the 27th of April 2022.
Thank you. And can I get a seconder for that motion?
Stratton.
Thank you, Stratton. Any comments on this one?
No, thanks, Madam Mayor. It's a statutory
Yep.
compliance thing, so.
All those in favour? And that's carried. Declarations of conflict of interest. I believe myself and Councillor Coghlan have a conflict. And that is item, Let me find it again. 11.9, and my conflict of interest is that it refers to the Irish Club Oval, and I'm a board member of the Irish Club. And I will be leaving the meeting for that particular agenda item.
My conflict would be that I'm the president of the Mount Isa Touch Association.
Councillor, will you be staying in the meeting? Or
I'm just thinking about that one. At this stage, I might go out of the meeting.
So you'll be leaving the meeting?
Yes, I'll leave the meeting.
Okay. Any other conflicts of interest in regard to the agenda?
No.
No? Okay. That takes us then to item 9.1, which is the correspondence report. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation? There's no mayoral minute for item 8. Thank you, CEO. Item 9.1. Who would like to move this officer's recommendation?
Yeah, I'll move it, Madam Mayor.
Yep. I'll read it out and someone can move it. The officer's...
I can.
Okay, good.
I'll move the recommendation that council receives and accepts the March 2022 correspondence report.
Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Stratton.
Thank you, Councillor Stretton. Would anyone like to speak on behalf of this one?
No, thank you.
All right, all those in favour? And that's carried. That takes us to item 10.1, the 21-22 Annual Operational Plan, second quarter update. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
I move, Madam Mayor, that council accepts the 2021/2022 Annual Operational Plan, second quarter review.
Thank you. Would someone like to second?
Seconded, Fortune.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak on behalf
Yeah,
of this one?
thanks, Madam Mayor. The operational plan's prepared by the officers. It's based largely on the corporate plan that's set up by council, and it's just used to monitor and keep an eye on progress against the targets. It's a document that's able to be amended at any time and adopted to support the budget deliberations. So in the second quarter of Council's annual operation plan, I've got some notes here from the officers that identified the following progress towards the targets. That 12% are complete, 74% are on target, and 12% are requiring review, and 2% are below target. So overall, that's a fairly good achievement.
Thank you. Any other comments on this one? Right, all those in favour? And that's carried. And that takes us to 10.2, Councillor Summary Report. And this is the Western Queensland Alliance of Councils Conference in Charleville from the 9th to the 11th of March. And would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
Yeah, I'll move, Madam Mayor, that Council receives and accepts a summary report from Deputy Mayor Phil Barwick regarding the Western Queensland Alliance of Councils Conference, WQAC, held in Charleville, 9th to the 11th of March 2022.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Seconded, Fortune.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak on behalf of this one?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. So I've tabled a summary report there of my view of the conference that we attended to. In the lead up to the federal election, there was quite a lot of advocacy work being done by the various councils throughout the Western Corridor, and namely those items, such things as the housing shortages and the building contractor shortages, the digital networks and telecommunications, worker shortages and professional shortages, and supply chain challenges that are evident throughout the area. So yeah, I just talked about the elements that were raised by the local mayors and councils, and also some of the specific meetings that we were able to hold on behalf of Mount Isa City Council were listed there. These were just informal meetings that were, with the idea of raising more attention to the economic development of Mount Isa City. So I think they were quite valuable in that sense. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And the other big one that was discussed was health. And I think the 22 councils all had the same issues with not having continuity of doctors, not being able to see specialists, allied health. So that was another big one that was mentioned. And one of the presentations about the elderly I thought was really interesting because people who have retired aren't accessing all the services they should be. And once you've been signed up, there are an array of services that you can access. And I made an inquiry in Mount Isa of how many elderly in Mount Isa were accessing these services. And believe it or not, we've only got 10 elderly people accessing services that they're entitled to as a retirement. So I encourage everyone out there who's retired to have a look at what you're entitled to, because there are services out there that you may not be accessing because you don't know they exist. So I think that was really a key message that, especially in these 22 councils where we are isolated and we don't have some of the services that are run in the metropolitan cities. All right.
Madam Mayor, can I just flag something as well for you? A meeting I had with the RFDS there highlighted their interest in the relocating the Drover display out to their new site, which they're building at the airport, possibly over the next year or two. So that was quite a fortunate meeting. They have a location for it. They appear to be willing to inject funds into it. But none of that's been formalised yet.
No,
However,
that's right.
It's quite a good process, for dealing with our issue of the Drover.
Exactly, and I've also recommended. Well, I've also let them know that we did a community engagement, and as long as that Drover stays in Mount Isa, we're quite comfortable, but not formally, that that may not be where it is at the moment. Okay. All those in favour? And that's carried.
Aye.
All right, that takes us to item 11.1, which is the finance overview report. Would someone like to move?
Through the chair, though, I think there's 10.3 on the agenda.
Did I miss 10.3, did I? Sorry. Thank you, Councillor Fortune. Okay, so 10.3 is the Development and Land Use Quarter 3 Overview Report. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
I'll move that council receives and accepts the Development and Land Use Quarter 3 Overview Report.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. Would someone like to second that motion?
Stratton.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. Would anyone like to speak on behalf of this motion?
I'll just give a summary of the report through the chair. With development applications, during the third quarter, council received received 6 development applications and approved 1 development application. This is an increase in the number of applications received from the previous quarter being 3, and an increase compared with the same quarter in the last financial year being 5. Council received 8 boundary clearance dispensation applications and approved 3 applications during the quarter. This is a decrease in the number of applications received compared to the same quarter last financial year being 11. With the building applications, a total of 37 notice of engagements were received by council during the quarter. A total of 30 building approvals were issued by private building certifiers for this quarter. This is an increase compared with the previous quarter being 16, and an increase compared to the same quarter in the previous financial year being 15. Of the 30 building approvals, there was a total of 38 structures for which building permits were issued. The total value of the building works approved for the Mount Isa local government area for this quarter was $3.61 million, which is an increase of $1.61 million compared to the same quarter last financial year. Property searches. Council received a total of 70 property search requests for the quarter. This is a decrease compared with the last quarter being 77, and a decrease compared to the same quarter last financial year being 89. Of the 70 requests, 61 were for residential properties, 7 were for commercial properties, and 2 requests for certificates of classification / occupation. Land use and tenure. Council completed 5 land tenure applications. 59 council trust land tenure agreements were issued, 5 council trust land tenure agreements were surrendered, and 1 remedy of breach was issued over council trust land. Council endorsed 2 requests for liquor licensing and 1 survey plan. During Q3 2021-2022 financial year, Council received a total of just over $19,000 paid in reserve fees. Council advertised for tender for a reserve for the purpose of grazing. That's a summary of the development portfolio.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. Any other comments on this one? Okay, all those in favour? And that's carried. That takes us to Corporate and Community Services reports. And item 11.1, which is the Finance Overview Report for March 2022. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation? I'm assuming it's the Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. I'll move that Council receives and accepts the March 2022 Finance Overview Report as presented.
Thank you. Would someone like to second this motion?
Stratton.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak on behalf of this one?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. This is a report for the end of March, so we're at the end of the third quarter for the year. I believe the figures show that we're in quite a solid position once again. At present time, we're over budget on the revenue side of things by about 8%. So that'll possibly taper off towards the end of the financial year. We're also under budget by about 3% on the expenses for the year. So everything seems to be working quite well. There are fluctuations within that, however. I believe that we're in a solid position going forward to the end of the financial year. Just a couple of notes, if I can. Our financial sustainability ratios are improving as we go along as well, but they are a new measure that we've brought into our reports in recent times, which gives us an idea of the health of the organisation. The outstanding aged rates are sitting at a total of 25 million at the moment, mainly because there's been a recent issue of rates, which are all coming back in at the present time. They're due for full payment around about, well, last week actually, the 20th of the 4th, but we won't have that report just yet. So other items, if I can, we have cash at the bank of 51 million, which is good for cash flow purposes, and the total unrestricted cash is 5 million. There is, I just mentioned, there is a community consultation for the budget coming up during May, as you've indicated earlier, and it'd be great if community could have a look at that, because we have to take into account the the increasing costs that the communities is coming under and not immune to, as the rest of the country is as well. So we'd appreciate the community having a good look at our budget if they can, and feeding back any relevant information that they can. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Is there any other comments with this one? All right, all those in favour? Yep.
Yay.
Yep, and that's carried. Thank you. And that brings us to item 11.2, which is the Library Overview Report, and that's February 2022 and March 2022. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation? Because Councillor McRae's not here at the moment.
I'll move that, Madam Mayor. Recommendation there, Council receives and accepts the February 2022 and March 2022 Library Overview Report as presented.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Seconded, Fortune.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. Would anyone like to speak on behalf of this motion?
Yeah, man, I'd just like to note there the new microfilm scanner is at the library since March, and if you read the report there, it can do a heap of good things. So searching words and that. So like the newspapers go back to 1930. There, you put a word in, and it should be able to scan through those papers pretty quickly and come up with a story you're looking for. So I think that's a real add to the library for people looking up history.
That's fantastic. So we could actually put in someone's name and pull up every story that was ever done on them. That is fantastic. Any other comments on this one? All right, all those in favour? And that's carried. And this one is 11.3, which is the Splashes Overview Report for March 2022. And I'm assuming this is Councillor Coghlan. Would anyone like to move this officer's recommendation?
I'll move the recommendation that Council receives and accepts the March 2022 Splashes Overview Report as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. Would someone like to second that motion?
Seconded, Fortune.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. Councillor Coghlan, would you like to speak on behalf of this?
No, it's all there in the report. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Is there any other comments on this one? Okay. All those in favour? And that's carried. So that takes us to item 11.4, which is the Corporate Services Overview Report for February and March for 2022. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
Yeah, I'll move, Madam Mayor, thank you. Council receives and accepts the February 2022 and March 2022 Corporate Services Overview Report.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Seconded, Fortune.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak on behalf of this motion?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. It's fairly well explained in the report. The council, frontline staff are working very hard with the amount of calls, letters and emails that they get. There's also a list there of the iCase jobs that are provided or requested by council, which is fairly consistent with previous months. I'll just hand that to the council. Thanks.
Thank you. Any comments, questions on this one?
Nothing for me, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. All right, all those in favour? And that's carried. This then takes us to 11.5, which is the Economic and Community Development Overview Report for February and March 2022. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation, please?
Yeah, I'll move, Madam Mayor, that Council receives and accepts the February 2022 and March 2022 Economic and Community Development Overview Report.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder for that?
Seconded, Fortune.
Thank you. Any comments on this one?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, there's some very exciting items there and events in progress at the moment that are being dealt with by the Economic Development team. So we've clearly just had a very successful Anzac Day. And I think there's commendations to go out to all the people that participated there, the schools and the reserve forces and the RSL and that, they all combined together to make a wonderful, wonderful day. We've got the Great Australian Bites event coming up on the 14th of May, so that's proving very popular amongst the community. There's also a range of things, including a Free Plants Day. Free plants are always popular, so we're expecting to see a good crowd roll up for that. That's on the 28th of May, and of course, Welcoming Babies Day, 22nd of May. Queensland Day is around the corner, the 4th of June, and the Pet Day is, as we've been running every year now, is also a very successful event, and we're looking forward to a huge roll up to that and the activities that go along with that. We're starting to lead in now to the Isa Street Festival for 2022, so that's the 10th of August, and we're confirming the available performers and that for that event. The Mount Isa 100 year celebrations, we continue to work with the community groups, and advisory committee is active participating in the development of those celebrations. So there's highlighted work there around the tourism strategy, so that's underway. and also there's some signage work that we're doing around the community as well to make it easier for visitors and residents alike to move around the community. Among other things, that's pretty much the bulk of the report. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. That was very well said. I too concur with Anzac Day. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant day. And I would like to thank the staff because they went well and beyond what they normally do. And it was so fantastic to see everybody there. The rain did not keep one person away. The parade was fantastic. And it was I was just so proud to be in Mount Isa, to be honest, and be at that parade. And yeah, fair credit to the RSL, who are a small committee, and yet they pull off some really significant events. And Anzac Day did not let us down, and just so proud to have been part of it, and big thank you to all our staff for that. If there's no other comments, all those in favour? And that's carried. So this takes us now to item 11.6, which is the Local Government Remuneration Commission Annual Report 2020-21. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
I'll move, Madam Mayor. The Council accepts the maximum amount of councillor remuneration for 2022-2023 as determined by the Local Government Remuneration Commission 2020-21 Annual Report, being dot point the Mayor $127,366, dot point the Deputy Mayor $76,421, and councillors $63,684. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that motion?
Fortune, seconded.
Thank you. Would anyone like to comment on this?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, the remuneration is developed by the Local Government Remuneration Commission on an annual basis and reported on. It's provided for a resource for council so that they can establish the payments and remuneration to mayors and councillors. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like the councillors to consider rejecting the increase and maybe using the increase to actually donate that extra money to a charity or worthwhile event in the city. And I will be voting against this because I believe that we could actually do something good with that extra pay rise rather than taking it for ourselves. Is there any comments on? All right. All those in favour of this recommendation? And can I have my vote recorded as against?
Through Madam Mayor, Councillor Tully, can you indicate one way or the other? And Councillor McRae, I don't know if you're back.
Yes, David, I'm for the motion, thank you.
Councillor McRae? Okay, all right. Listen, yep, terrific. Okay, so that's carried, and if you can count my vote as against. That takes us to item 11.7, which is a 2022-23 debt policy. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
I'll move, Madam Mayor, that Council adopts the 2022/23 debt policy as presented.
Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Stratton.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak on behalf of this motion?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, it's incumbent upon us to have, just trying to get the page, yeah, to have a debt policy developed and reviewed every year. So this policy that's come up now is undertaking the formal review and being presented for approval today. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments on this one before we vote?
Could I, sorry, Madam Mayor, could I just also comment, there's no major changes to the debt policy from the previous year either, just some cosmetics. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. If there's no more comments, all those in favour? And that's carried. That takes us to item 11.8, which is the 22-23 investment policy. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
I'll move, Madam Mayor, that the 2022/23 investment policy is presented to Council for information and consideration.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Seconded, Coghlan.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak on behalf of this motion?
Yeah, similarly to the previous item, the investment policy is up for review. We need to have that in place and to be formally reviewed every year. So again, I understand there's no significant changes in there, so it captures how we treat any surplus cash that we might have. Thanks.
Thank you.
Through the chair, just for the purposes of the agenda, the recommendation, the Deputy Mayor read out the executive summary. The recommendation.
I've only momentarily just been able,
Yeah, the Deputy Mayor read out the executive summary. The recommendation is just below that.
Oh. Point of order.
Oh, did he? I didn't even pick that up, so would you like to read that out, move that motion again?
I will. So you're looking at it on page 173? 168.
Do you want me to read it out?
Sorry, my mistake,
173. So the recommendation that Council adopts 2022/23 investment policy as presented?
That's it, yes.
That's it. And
Sorry, I had to.
Sorry, and I'll second that one.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've already, everyone's commented? All right. All those in favour? And that's carried. So that now takes us to item 11.9, which is a concession to waiver and write-off rates and charges and reserve lease trustee permit fees for 36 identified non-profit sporting clubs and community organisations as identified in Council's revenue statement for 22-23 and 23-24 financial period.
I'll be leaving the room.
I have a conflict of interest with this one, being a board member for the Irish Club, and the Irish Club's Ovals rates are part of this. So I will leave the meeting, and I will hand over to the Deputy Mayor to chair this one.
And I'll be leaving the room. I'm president of the Mount Isa Touch Association.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Thanks, Councillor Coghlan.
Sorry, through the chair, I'm actually on the committee at the Mount Isa Race Club. I'm no longer president, but I'm on the committee, so I'll be leaving the room also.
Okay.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. We'll let you know by text when to come back, Councillor Tully.
Thanks, David.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Tully, so there's a recommendation there, option 1, that Council approves and grants a concession to waiver and write-off rates and charges.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, I just want to check, I really should have my meeting procedures here, but do we have a quorum? We have 3.
Councillor, yeah, no, we don't. That's a good point. There you go.
So, through you, Deputy Mayor, I believe we'll need to bring this back to a future council meeting, when Councillor Cray may be available, as long as she doesn't have a conflict of interest, then we can proceed from there. So it might be appropriate for someone to move that we defer, or lay on the table or defer this item.
Is it, through the chair, Dave, is it a real problem if we let the Mayor and Councillor Coghlan and Tully sit in the meeting if we vote on it? Because I think this is a community issue, not so much individual sporting clubs.
That's still technically not, through you, Deputy Mayor, that's still not technically going to give me a quorum.
Yeah.
Because they will simply be observers.
Okay.
I need a voting quorum.
Fair enough.
So, councillors, you can either suggest we defer it until the May meeting, or, again, a special meeting is the other option.
Can I just ask how that'll impact on the ratepayers concerned?
Through the chair, we actually need this some decision to be made fairly quickly so that we can put together the revenue statement, which is a statutory requirement as part of the budget. So as long as we get some direction before the final budget is adopted, we can work with that.
Through you, Chair, can we name a date for it to lay on the table till possibly a special meeting next week? That would advance the...
Through you, Deputy Mayor, councillors would be aware of an email that I sent around before involving Councillor McRae. I think a lot of that will depend on how she's travelling.
Oh, very good, yes.
Sorry, I don't mean to preempt anything one way or the other.
Okay, well, if that's the case, David, we clearly can't go forward with this particular item, so we will ask that it be laid on the table until we ask administration then to bring it back at a suitable time, either at a special meeting or the May ordinary meeting.
So through as we don't have a quorum, it will certainly indicate that this lies on the table because no one can move. But it would be going to a meeting on a special day or anything else like that.
Okay.
So if we can go down.
No, it's just a suggestion at this stage, yeah.
So we'll let it lay on the table and deal with it at the next special ordinary meeting of council. Deputy Mayor, you'll explain to the Mayor and Councillor.
Councillor Tully's been advised. Madam Mayor, before we progress, I'll just advise that
excuse me, Deputy, could you just wait till Councillor...
How did that one go? Did it get up?
We've labelled.
Oh, okay. I'll wait for...
Just waiting for Councillor Tully to come back in.
Okay.
You need to get back on. Because we're finished, you need to get back on. Yeah. Yeah, yep, he's getting back on.
Oh, thanks, Councillor.
Yeah.
Thank you, Godfrey. Good to see you.
What happened to Peter? Did she get kicked off again? Councillor McRae.
On there.
Oh, okay. Yep. There he is.
Yeah, back on.
Oh, thanks, Councillor Tully. Through you, Madam Mayor. I'll just advise councillors that were out of the room that we've laid the item on the table due to the lack of a quorum, with Councillor McRae being an apology and Councillor Tully also declaring conflict of interest. It only left us with 3 councillors, so we've had to lay the item over until a future meeting to be addressed. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, that makes sense. Okay, so that takes us now to item 11.10, and that is the rates and charges concessions for the Society for the Mount Isa Memorial Garden Settlement for the Aged. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
Through the chair, it was remiss of me not to notify of a conflict. I have a conflict due to my father being a resident of the Laura Johnson home. I do not get a benefit from that because my father pays himself for that residency there, and I'll be staying in the room to vote.
Do we need to do a motion on that? Yep. Would someone like to move the motion that Councillor Fortune will be able to stay in the meeting, or can stay in the meeting for this item?
I'll move that motion that Councillor Fortune be allowed to stay in the room for the 11.10.
Thank you. And can I get a seconder for that motion?
Stratton.
All those in favour? And that's carried. Councillor Tully, you're...
Yes, fine with me.
Okay, so would someone like to now...
I'll move, Madam Mayor,
Yep.
if you like. Yeah, I'll move the recommendation that Council approve the following concession for rates and charges under sections 119, 121D, 121A and 122(1A of the Local Government Regulation 2012 for the Laura Johnson Home for the Aged Commercial Property Assessment 01629-10000-000 and that the 1.5 metre squared commercial garbage service charges rates are charged in lieu of the 3 metre cubed commercial garbage service charges rates for the next 2 years, 2022, 2023 to 2023-24. And 16 of the 240 litre bins are charged at the residential garbage service rate without the waste service charge for the next 2 years, 2022/23 to 2023/24, and 3, that Council approve a 50% concession on the water meter access charges for the next 2 years, 2022/23 to 2023/24, and that 4, Council approves a 50% concession on the sewerage charges for the facility for the next 2 years, 2022/23 to 2023/24.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Would someone like to second that motion?
I'll second that motion. Coghlan.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak on behalf of this one?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. So the Laura Johnson Home is a not-for-profit organisation. It receives money under government grants and also some little income from residents, as Councillor Fortune's pointed out. We, being the only aged care centre in Mount Isa, of its ilk and size, we offer a fairly good, support in terms of rate reductions and support in terms of their services through the community, which we've done for quite some years now. So again, this is just to firm it up for an additional 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Oh, I'd just like to say this would be a good thing to continue, as I know with COVID having come to our city, I know how much the Laura Johnson Home have had to implement to keep all the residents safe, and it doesn't come cheaply. So I think this will go a long way to helping them, maintain the high standards that they have at the moment.
Thank you. If there's no more comments, all those in favour? Councillor Tully?
Yay.
And that's carried.
Right, record a vote as an abstention.
I'm just reading through Madam Mayor. I'm just reading through the minutes of the previous one. The previous one we actually declared a slight conflict of interest and left the room for discussion.
Okay.
If you're happy with where everything is, that's good.
I'm happy with where everything is. I don't get a benefit from it.
That's right, thank you.
And it is very difficult with the conflicts of interest, whether it's declarable or prescribed, and I know that it is something that a lot of councillors have to contend with. Okay.
Through the chair, just for the matter of record, how will my non-vote be registered? I'll vote against.
Through you, Madam Mayor, you could abstain.
Yep.
Abstain. That's what I shall do.
Yep, let's record that as abstaining. And I
I'll
did
have
notice
abstain
that,
from the vote, yes.
I did notice Councillor Fortune didn't vote. Okay, well, that now takes us to item 11.12, which is the ERP status report. Now, this one is just...
Madam Mayor, I think 11.11.
Oh, did I miss one? Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm getting too far ahead of myself.
No, that's all right.
So 11.11, request to waiver outstanding sundry debtor invoice 2913124 due to financial hardship. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
I'll move, Madam Mayor, that council approve to waiver outstanding sundry debtor invoice 2913124 of $1,030.92 issued for reserved lease fees 2021-2022 for assessment 04337-00005-000 due to financial hardship under section 7.3 of the council's sundry debt recovery policy.
Thank you. Would someone like to second this motion?
Stratton.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak on behalf of this motion?
Madam Mayor, thanks. So the Mount Isa Softball Association have submitted a letter to the council requesting a waiver of the current and outstanding rates and charges and future rates and lease fees for the 21-22 financial period. We are looking at this as a concurrent thing with softball, but also in sort of comparison to the issues that a lot of sporting organisations are feeling around the town at the moment, and there is clearly a resolve by council to support community organisations in as much as possible, with possible reductions on their rates and fees and things like that. So I think this is in that same vein, and if it's a small amount of money, such as the one that's recommended here, that stops, that holds an organisation in good stead to continue operating and provide those sporting services to the town, then I think it's well worth the money. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other comments?
Not from me, Madam Mayor.
I guess I would just like to add to that a lot of sports are doing it really tough in Mount Isa, and the last thing we want to see as a council is to any sport not to be here at the end of this year. So any way we can support, I think is a great thing to do. All right, all those in favour? Councillor Tully?
Yay.
And that's carried. All right, this takes me now to 11.12, which is the ERP status report. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
I'll move, Madam Mayor, that council notes and receives the report on the status of the ERP implementation.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Seconded, Fortune.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, any comments on this one?
Madam Mayor, this is quite a significant implementation plan, and you can see in the papers the amount of work and the amount of upgrade and transfer of data and information and hardware that needs to go on during the program. So it's great to see it outlined like this. It's a bit hard to even wade through the amount of work that needs to be done, and it gives council a good appreciation of what's needed to change from our old systems. And to bring our systems into the current state of the art that council should have to service their communities with. So my commendations to the team and the people that are managing all of this, including our Director of Corporate Finance Services there, Chalaya, and I think it's a big job on your hands, and well done.
And I concur with that statement by the Deputy Mayor. A big congratulations to the finance team. They've been doing a great job, and the budget, which, you know, is no small feat. So, any other comments on this one? All right, all those in favour? That's carried. That takes us to item 11.13, which is community grants and sponsorship for 21-22. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
I'll move, Madam Mayor, that council awards the following organisations to receive round 2 community grants and sponsorship 2021-22 funding. The community grants are to the RFDS Mount Isa base for medical equipment for the RFDS Mount Isa base, $4,472. The Mount Isa Hockey Association for the purchase of a scoreboard for $5,000. The Mount Isa Pistol Club Incorporated, become more inclusive to encourage people with special needs to join, an amount of $2,150. So the total for community grants is $11,622. The sponsorship round, we have Commerce Northwest for the Northwest MPX, the Expo, more commonly known as, for $15,000. The Mount Isa Motorsports and Rec Inc. for the Mount Isa Motor Show, which is $1,000. The Good Shepherd Catholic Parish for the Multicultural Festival, $4,939. PCYC Mount Isa for Ruby, which is Rise Up Be Yourself program, for $4,950. The Isa Ski and Powerboat Boat Club Incorporated for the Mount Isa City Council Mundara MASH, $4,000. The Drover Camp Association Incorporated for the Drovers Camp Festival, which is $8,000. The Mount Isa Campcraft Association for the Q Energy Solutions 2022 Mount Isa Campcraft for $10,040. And the Camberwell Campcraft Association Inc. for the Camberwell Campcraft figure of $7,891. So the total sponsorship round comes to $55,820. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Stratton.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak on behalf of this motion?
Thanks, Madam. Yeah, this is a biannual program that Council runs to support community grants for community bodies and also major event sponsorship, as outlined in the tables. So yeah, this is another way that Council can support the community to hold these events. We think they're good return for the community and good return for Council in terms of what these groups achieve. So we're quite happy to support that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, all those in favour? Councillor Tully?
Yay.
And that's carried. This brings us to item 11.14, which is the Mount Isa Agricultural Show Society 3-year sponsorship proposal. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
I'll move, Madam Mayor. Anyone can jump in when they want.
I just want to.
I'll move that Council supports the Mount Isa Agricultural Show Society with sponsorship of the Mount Isa Show for 3 years as follows. Year 1, 2022 for $35,000 plus GST for the Mount Isa Show 40th year. Year 2, the 2023, $30,000 plus GST Mount Isa 100th year celebration. And Year 3 for 2024, $25,000 plus GST for Mount Isa Mines 100th year celebration. And that Mount Isa considers in-kind support as required annually to assist with successful delivery of the Mount Isa Show for 2022 to 2024, subject to budgetary and resource availability, and that Council apply the following special conditions for Years 2 and 3. And I won't read those, I'll just, as tabled, thank you.
Thank you. I was wondering if you were going to read them. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
I'll second that motion. Coghlan.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. Would anyone like to comment on this one? Deputy Mayor.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, the show's coming up for some iconic years. It's its own 40th year. And of course, we got the 100 years in 2023. I think it's important that the Mount Isa City Council and the community, and on behalf of the community, that we support the show. The shows around the country generally are struggling from time to time, but they're a very important part of the fabric of communities, especially rural communities like Mount Isa. So I think it's extremely important that we get behind the show in as much as we possibly can. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other comments?
Yeah, just like I'm 100% behind this one, because I know it's only a very small committee that put this show on every year, but they're all local people, so they all know what the locals want. So, and it's definitely very community based, and I also know a lot of other community groups get a lot out of the Mount Isa show as well. So, 100% behind this.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan.
Sorry, just through the chair, I'm just reading through the recommendation. Is there any reason why the special conditions is only for years 2 and 3 and not year 1?
Through the Mayor, that's what they've requested, and that's what we've put to the table for Council to deliberate on.
I think, sorry, the Councillor was asking conditions be applied in year 1, 2 and 3. We've only got 2 and 3 down.
Through the chair, Mr. CEO, would it be because that most of the organisation for this year would have already started?
Through you, Madam Mayor, we would normally still ask for that information to come through.
Okay.
Perhaps what we'll do after the council meeting is just circulate some information on what's been done.
Yeah, I'd suggest through the chair that traditionally all the sponsorships are for 1 year, and it's just noting, I suppose, that the conditions are ongoing for the number of other years.
Through the chair, could I just comment, Mr. CEO? Look, it's pretty pointed that they've asked for special conditions for 2 and 3. So we can assume that they already have the information for year 1, perhaps. Yeah.
Some of that information may not be available in year 1. So that might be more regardless, we'll get an email around.
Yeah, and look, it doesn't meet the requirements to be in the 3 month prior to event commencement, because we're already almost in May. We're mid-April. So we're sort of, we probably don't meet, we haven't got that 3 month to do that. Does that make sense? So that probably is right. Okay, if there's any other comments? All right, all those in favour? And that's carried. Okay, this brings us to item 11.15, which is track funding opportunity. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
Yeah, move, Madam Mayor, that Council endorse an application to TRACC, which is Tackling Regional Adversity Through Connected Communities, for $66,000 plus GST to deliver a project addressing mental health in the Mount Isa local government area.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Grattan.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak on behalf of this motion?
Yeah, sure. Look, mental health is an aspect of our sort of current society that's really, really important, and the government recognises this and puts out these programs and grants work to have people take up mental health initiatives within the organisations and within the community generally. So I'm happy to support this application, and I think there's a lot that we can do with it.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other comments on this one?
Through the chair, so who delivers these courses, workshops? Are they Brisbane based, Townsville based, fly-ins? Sorry, I couldn't.
No, it says in the background that a working group will be formed by council if successful with the funding to deliver the project.
Okay.
Yeah, so through Madam Mayor, I believe this is part of the training thing that allows employees to develop basically first aid in relation to mental health, then it's passed on to other people. So that training is there. do the implementation of the mental
Yeah.
health works, because issues with privacy and
Yeah.
who knows, etc., etc. So some of those people may end up training some of the people on current. That would be the other option as well, where there's a degree of separation. Again, we're happy to get an email around to councillors and just indicate that the total amount of the grant, if I remember correctly, is
66, yep.
So, and this is one that, it'd be nice for council to get up.
Yep.
So I'm aware of, very aware of staff mental issues, very recently. So, around mental health issues as well.
Okay.
A big focus on, are you okay now as well.
It's driven by, through your chair, the Queensland Health and the Mental Health, Alcohol and Other Drugs branch.
Thank you. And David, are we doing anything for Are You OK Day? Have we got anything planned?
Through Madam Mayor, I'm leaving that to the staff that are driving this initiative. It was emailed around to councillors what the workshop is doing, so we're building on that. We are looking to put a flyer in with every payslip. We are looking to have posters in the toilets, which has been recommended by the staff. And we are looking at the chair of the RAP, Reconciliation Group. He will be speaking to outdoor staff on Thursday and indoor staff.
Thank you. All right, if there's no more comments, all those in favour? Councillor Tully?
Yay. Yay.
Thank you. And that's carried. All right, so 11.16 is a submission letter for Mount Isa Mines Copper Smelter Extension Project to Department of Environmental and Science. Would someone like to move the motion?
I'll move the motion that council endorses the submission of the letter of support for the Copper Smelter Extension Project as an application to amend Environmental Authority by Mount Isa Mines Limited, MIM.
Thank you. And can I get a seconder for that motion?
Stratton.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. Councillor Coghlan, do you have any comments on this motion?
Oh, look, it just goes without saying that we do have to support this. It's very important for our city and for the mines to keep going. So anything we can do to support them, I think we should do.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. Any other comments? All right, all those in favour? And that's carried. Okay, that takes us to item 11.17, which is the Materials Recovery Facility, the MRF project, variation. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
Yeah, I'll move this, Madam Mayor. The recommendation there is council approves the $192,592.98 ex-GST contract variation with the RDT Engineering for the MRF contract 2021-08-1-IS, which within the 10% variation limit.
Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Seconded, Fortune.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. Councillor Stratton, would you like to make any comments on this one?
Yeah, this just goes ahead a bit. Obviously, we didn't put the right amount in before, but to get a more machinery to handle the glass out there when we build the MRF. So yeah, we'll be able to grind it down into a usable substance.
Thank you. Any more comments? All right, all those in favour? And that's carried. That brings us to item 11.18, which is the financial year 22-23 draft budget for council consideration before public consultation. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
Yeah, I'm happy to move that, Mayor, that council receives and accepts the full-year 2022-23 draft budget, capital works plan and fees and charges, and approves its release for public consultation.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Seconded, Fortune.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak on behalf of this?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. So for the first part of this year, the last two terms of the financial year, we've been in council working with the teams to develop a budget for the year ahead, and we've come to a draft now that we can approve today for public consultation, which has provided for us to be able to deliver a full range of services to the community for next year, and also to undertake our capital works program that we have planned to build and benefit the community infrastructure and facilities that are available to the community. So yeah, happy to put that on the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other comments on this one? I guess I'm really impressed. We're actually got 4 weeks of public consultation, which I think is fantastic. Do we have any dates for when we do the actual in council ones as yet, or we're still to put them together?
Through the chair, we still have to put them together, subject to availability of the councillors and yourself, Madam Mayor.
All right. Well, I can't recommend enough that the community come and have a listen to what we've got in the budget, and this perfect time to give their feedback. So I'm really happy that this has had so much time to have public consultation. With no more comments, all those in favour? And that's carried. That takes us to 11.19, which is Better Business Forum, 3rd of May 22. And would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
I'll move the recommendation that council supports the delivery of the Better Business Forum and approve the expenditure of $6,500 excluding GST.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Second, Barwick.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Coghlan, would you like to speak on behalf of this one?
Oh, look, just to support forums like this, I think would be a good thing to get different stakeholders together. It can only improve what we know about our region, and hopefully getting people together, you always come up with different ideas. So, and it's council driven, so I'm pleased with that.
Thank you. Any other comments on this one? All right. All those in favour? And that's carried. That brings us to item 11.20, request for sponsorship. Mount Isa Tourism Association, MITA, travelled to caravan shows in Brisbane, June 2022 and October 2022. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
I'll move the recommendation that council supports the request from Mount Isa Tourism Association to provide financial support to the value of $3,129 to send a member to caravan and camping shows held in Brisbane in June and October 2022.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. Would someone like to second that motion?
I'll second, Barwick.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Coghlan, would you like to speak on behalf of this one?
Yeah, look, I'm in support of this one because I know this is a local organisation that promote Mount Isa small working group. They know the area. They promote not just one event or one building. They promote the whole of Mount Isa. So I think it would be a good thing for them to go down because they know what they're talking about. They live in Mount Isa. They know what's going on. So I have no hesitation in recommending this.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. Any other comments on this one?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I concur with Councillor Coghlan. I believe that the return on interest for the city from things like this can't be counted, and it really needs our support to provide to a volunteer organisation like MITA who do go out there and promote the city as much as they can.
Thank you, and I also concur with Councillor Coghlan. If there's no other comments, all those in favour? Okay, and that's carried. This takes us now to item 11.21, which is the Mine Workers Memorial Consultation Report. And the officers, who would like to move the officers' recommendation?
I can move this recommendation that Council endorses the Mine Workers Memorial Consultation Report and approves the report's recommendation for Frank Aston Hill be the site for the Mine Workers Memorial, subject to the following: concept and detailed design, geotechnical survey of the site, heritage requirements check, and that Council approves the concept and detailed design works to be completed by CA Architects for George McCoy Park.
Thank you. Can I get a second for this motion?
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Stretton. Councillor Coghlan, would you like to speak on behalf of this motion?
I wasn't at the last Mine Workers Memorial Mine Workers meeting, but this is just putting it there. The Peter Mueller and Gisela Jung, Associate Directors for Architects of CA Architects, they will come in. Frank Aston Hill has been named as the preferred site. There are a lot of things that they have to look at to make sure that the site is ready and is not going to cost too much money to even just get it stabilised and ready. And yeah, so they're a very good. They gave a great presentation to the committee, I thought. They listened to all the committee members, so hopefully something really grand will come out of this.
Thank you. Any other comments on this one?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, if I can, through the chair. Look, I don't approve of the site, the Frank Ashton site. I think it's a very uncomfortable site to be building anything of this nature because of the nature of it and, you know, the lack of access by tourists and people to visit the site. It's already fairly difficult. I think George McCoy Park is a very good choice, and it allows for a lot of expansion, a lot of room and a lot of comfort for people that are visiting the site. So I don't really support the recommendation in its entirety. Thank you.
Thank you. I actually did Frank Aston Hill. I walked around the whole hill and I went up the hill, and it is definitely an amazing hill, you know, and it has probably the best view, $1 million view, you know, once you're at the top. And I think the committee have acknowledged that there will be some, you know, they would specifically look at with the architect on making it so it is easy for the public to actually go to the monument and look at specifically how they designed it. So I do think George McCoy Park would be a good second choice. It's definitely a good park. The only problem with that park is that its view is obstructed of you know, some of the skyline, but and it is at the moment one of the council's overflow sites as well. So there's a few challenges with that one, but that's just my opinion. Any other comments?
Just I understand what you're saying, Councillor Barwick there, but hopefully when they go in and look at the hill, like if there are any major problems, they will bring them straight back. And at the meeting for the Miners' Memorial, that was something that was brought up, all the things that you did say, and that's why George McCoy Park was picked as a second. So hopefully when they go in and have a look, we'll be able to come out with some sort of answers, like professional answers looked at properly.
Yeah, through the chair, look, those answers would include accessibility for everyone in the community, and disabled access would be a high priority for any sort of accessibility for any site to be built in town. So the hill, although it's got great views, has got limitations to it as well, but you've got professional people who are looking at designs that will come back with a workable plan, I'd expect, and further decisions can be made in the future regarding those designs.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. If there's no more comments, all those in favour? Councillor Tully?
Yay.
Councillor Coghlan?
Oh, yes.
Yep, okay, and
Sorry.
that's carried.
I'll just record against. Thanks.
If you can call the Deputy
Yeah,
Mayor voted against.
Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Okay, that takes us to item 11.22, which is rates in arrears. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
Okay.
Everyone's looking at each other.
Okay, there's a recommendation that council resolves A1 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 to sell land described in Schedule A to this resolution by reason of non-payment of overdue local government rates and charges which have been outstanding for more than 3 years in relation to the said land, and authorises the taking of all necessary action to effect such sale in accordance with Chapter 4, Part 12, Division 3 of the Local Government Regulations 2012 Queensland. Schedule A, assessment number 05993-00000-000. Legal description is Lot 2 Crown Plan MPH 7949, Lot 9 Crown Plan MPH 14003, and Lot 1 Crown Plan MPH 21995. B, to delegate to the Chief Executive Officer its power to take all further necessary action pursuant to Regulation 149 to 151 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 Queensland to acquire the land described in Schedule A to this resolution by reason of the non-payment of overdue local government rates and charges which have been outstanding for more than 3 years in relation to the said land, and authorises the taking of all necessary action to effect such sale in accordance with Chapter 4, Part 12, Division 3 of the Local Government Regulations 2012 Queensland. And C, to delegate to the Chief Executive Officer its power to take all further necessary action pursuant to the Regulations 151 brackets 5 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 Queensland to remove reference to the land from the land record. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Seconded, Coghlan.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak on behalf of this one?
Yeah, sure, Madam Mayor. Look, to get to this stage with council of putting the land up for sale, which I support in this action here, is you know, we're really at the bottom end of our patience and resilience with this particular ratepayer. So there's doesn't seem to be any capacity to pay, and as you can see, the extent of the rates it's probably gone to a level where we probably maybe should not have got to that level, but here we are, and now we need to do something about it. So I'm happy to support this motion.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other comments on this one? All right, all those in favour? And that's carried. This now brings us to item 12, which is infrastructure services reports, and 12.1, which is the water and sewerage overview report. I'll hand you over to Councillor Tully for the officer's recommendation.
You want to read it, Tully, or you want me to do it?
Yes, sorry, Councillor Stratton, can you do it, please?
Our recommendation there is council receives and accepts the February-March 2022 water and sewage overview report.
Thank you, Councillor Stratton. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Seconded, Coghlan.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. Would anyone like to speak on behalf of this report motion?
Yeah, as you can see there in the report, been busy replacing valves and pipes and stuff like that, and just want to acknowledge that there's been a bit of a delay in the water meter, smart meters, so just like the public to bear with us, I suppose, for the next 6 to 12 months as we get these meters installed. It's a delay on the provider, so nothing much we can do about it until we get them.
Yep. Thank you, Councillor Stratton. Councillor Coghlan, any
No. Good.
Councillor Tully?
No, thank you.
If there's no more comments, All those in favour? And that's carried. That brings us to item 12.2, and that's the Civic Centre precinct hydrant installation and fire upgrade. The officer's recommendation, sorry, who would like to put forward the officer's recommendation?
Yeah, I'll put that forward, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Recommendation there, Council Award Contract 2022-24 to Chubb Fire Security Pty Ltd for the sum of $773,520.00, excluding GST, to carry out the design installation of the new hydrant system.
Thank you, Councillor Stretton. Can I get a second for that motion?
I'll second Barwick.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Stretton, would you like to speak on behalf of this one?
Yes, Madam Mayor, this needs to be done for safety reasons. Naturally, the old system over there doesn't come up to standard, so this is the way we've got to put this in to make our Civic Centre safe.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yes, Madam Mayor, it's a significant amount of money, and however, it's not something that's going to be visible to the community when it's finished, and in all likelihood, it'll never ever get used, for anything what it's designed for. So, but it's just one of those compliance things that council has to do on behalf of the community, and we hope the community understands us investing so much money in that sort of infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other comments?
Sorry, just through the chair, David, it was my understanding that the original scope or quote that we got maybe 12 months ago was 500,000. Does that sound right?
Through Madam Mayor, I think that was the initial budget amount that was put in, and then once we started looking through the marketplace, we found it was much higher. So I know it's coming in a little bit under budget at this point in time, but yeah, the market has changed considerably. We thought it was around that, but I think it was more work that was done by Donna and by Stephen, if I remember correctly, to obtain the necessary pressure throughout the precinct. Happy Director Wallace.
Through the chair, no, that's correct, CEO.
Sorry, so does that include the library as well?
Through the chair, yes, it does include it.
Okay, thank you.
If there aren't any further comments, all those in favour? And that's carried. So that takes us now to the item 12.3, which is Manly City Council RFT 2022-10 Primary Clarifiers Repair Replacement. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'll move it. Council Award Contract 2022-10 to Repump Australia Pty Ltd for the sum of $689,886.00, excluding GST, to carry out rehabilitation works for the primary clarifiers.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Seconded, Fortune.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. Councillor Stretton, would you like to speak on behalf of this one?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, yeah, this is just ongoing things we need to do out the sewage plant there to keep the water up to a good standard. These things happen time to time and things need to be replaced.
Thank you. No more comments? All right, all those in favour? And that's carried. That brings us now to our confidential business items. So I'd just like to thank the public gallery for being here this morning, and I will now close the meeting to consider confidential business items. Time is 10:55 a.m. Missed doing the closed, would someone like to move the motion that council considers the following confidential reports in a meeting closed to the public in accordance with section 254J of the Local Government Regulation 2012? 14.1, RADF Council Initiated Project. 14.2, proposed purchase of 74 A and B Trainer Street, Townview, Queensland 4825. 14.3, the LRCI program phase 3. Would someone like to move that motion?
Moved by, oh, sorry.
And second?
I'll second it, Coghlan.
Thank you, councillor Coghlan. All those in favour? And that's carried. All right, we're now at 10:56 a.m. in closed. I'd like to move the motion that council moves out of closed council into open council.
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune.
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Stretton. All those in favour? And that's carried. That brings us to item 14 and 14.1, which is RADF council-initiated project. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
I'll move, Madam Mayor, that council endorses the RADF committee recommendation to support the Queensland Ballet Community Tour as a council-initiated project.
Thank you.
I'll second that. Coghlan.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. All those in favour? Thank you. And Councillor Tully?
Yay.
And that's carried. That brings us to item 14.2, the proposed purchase of 74 AB Trainer Street, Townview. Would someone like to move the officer's recommendation?
I'll move that council approve the purchase of the property at 74A and B Trainer Street, Lot 30, CPM 758104, as offered by Department of Communities, in brackets public housing, in the sum of 270,000, in brackets GST not applicable, plus stamp duty of 3,500 and legal fees of 1,500.
Thank you, Councillor Coghlan. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Second, Barwick.
Thank you, Councillor Barwick. Councillor Coghlan, would you like to speak on behalf of this one?
Oh, look, just everyone knows the lack of housing in Mount Isa does hurt a lot of businesses. I think this is a way forward to help us with stuff. Sorry.
Through Madam Mayor,
Oh.
we're confidential. You're only meant, you're not meant to.
Oh, okay, that's fine. No worries.
Yeah, and you can actually speak to items, but you just got to be mindful that they were confidential.
Yep, I think it's a good one.
I've checked on that with the guys from local government. Okay. All those in favour? And that's carried. Item 14.3, which is the LRCI program, phase 3. Would someone like to move that motion?
I'll move, Madam Mayor, that council formally endorse proceeding into a grant agreement and accepting grant offer of $2,019,038 excluding GST dollars, and an additional voluntary council contribution of $1,580,962 excluding GST to deliver the nominated projects under the Local Roads and Community Infrastructure Program.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder for that motion?
Seconded, Fortune.
Thank you, Councillor Fortune. And all those in favour? And that's carried. And that concludes our agenda today. I'd like to thank everybody for their attendance. The time is 11:10 a.m. and I now declare this ordinary meeting closed. Thank you, everybody.